You've found your way to the Winning Tactics podcast with host Adam Sinkus. Adam discusses winning tactics with small business owners and entrepreneurs, uncovering processes and introducing the tools and solutions for enhancing the bottom line. Thanks again for finding your way to the Winning Tactics podcast, and now your host, Adam Sinkus.
All right, welcome to another wonderful episode of the Winning Tactics podcast. I am your host, Adam Sinkus, and we are here with another Pay It Forward edition of the Winning Tactics podcast. So excited to have Amy and Evelyn on the show today. Welcome to the show. It is very, very exciting because you guys were one of our December recipients. Before we realized how big this thing was actually going to be. For those of you that aren't familiar with our Pay It Forward program, Pay It Forward Tuesdays, we are a group of consultants and business experts that are giving our time once a month to a deserving business to help them really take those next steps forward. We started in December of 2020, just on the premise of a conversation with myself and co-founder Chuck Hester about how we could give back during the holidays and the fact that there was 5 Giving Tuesdays in the month of December. So here we are, 2021, and we have expanded the program. We're taking it on and really extending it out to one winner a month, every month for the entire 2021. But welcome to the show, Evelyn and Amy. So glad to have both of you on. Why don't you go ahead and tell us who you are and what you do?
Okay. Hi. Thank you. We're so happy that we could be here today with you. I'm Evelyn, and this is Amy.
Hi, thank you so much. This has been a really great initiative, and we're so thrilled to be here.
Yes, we are actually both occupational therapists who have also a background in finance. Amy was a trader, and I was an accountant, and we both specialize in neurodevelopmental therapy, particularly in children who suffer with anxiety and processing delays. And we have a private practice called Hands-On OT Rehab. And an offshoot of that practice, because we've had so many of our clients who are actually parents who are therapists and educators and psychologists, they said to us one day, you really, really need to share with the world what you're doing, what your methods are. So we opened up a continuing education company called Hands-On Approaches, where we ourselves lecture and we bring in speakers that align with our methodology, with our systems. And so we have that company. And then our dream has always been, based on what we've been doing, to have a foundation with a focus on working on prevention of developmental delays, anxiety, and processing in children. There are so many things that if parents knew what to do, they can educate themselves to prevent things from actually happening. So we finally can say that we have formed our nonprofit called the H.O.P.E Foundation, which is hands-on parent empowerment. And we've launched it, and we're really excited to get that going.
And we've been doing this work in communities for years, but with Corona and everything, we had the opportunity to really get things going. And we're just thrilled that we were able to get it done this year and make it formal.
Fantastic. I'm so passionate about what you guys do. I don't know if this came up in our conversation, but my daughter has cognitive delays and mild cerebral palsy and seizures. And so hearing about some of the neurodevelopment stuff that we've gone through with my daughter and what you guys are doing it's an absolutely amazing process and an amazing, give back to people that really need help. And, I think for those that aren't aware, can you guys kind of define what that neurodevelopment stuff is and just kind of frame it a little bit for people?
Sure. So, when we think about a child, we really look at what their performance is or their functioning, right? Are they talking? Are they walking? Are they doing well in school? And most of the parents, when they look about development, they're looking at those charts that say, is your child sitting by 9 months or walking? And that's really what they're seeing. They're trying to see what are they showing them. And the neurodevelopmental piece is really to look at how is the brain forming to allow them to reach those endpoints. So we're looking more about before the child even walks or crawls or writes or speaks, how is the brain forming? And most parents and pediatricians also are not focused as much on that. They're focusing more on the medical components. You know, is your child healthy? Are they gaining weight? What's the sleeping like? So when we talk about neurodevelopment, we're talking about how is the brain forming for later functional tasks or social emotional components, like how are they going to calm themselves down, get regulated, what kind of focusing will they have. And you can do things for children to help that development in the first year of life. And people don't know this information. It really was a byproduct of people coming to us with their children who had issues. And then when the moms would come, if they were pregnant, and they would come with their little babies, at the end of a session, my sister and I would say, you know, I just want to tell you, Mrs. Smith, why don't you try this? And then they would come back 4 or 5 years later and say, you know, all my kids had therapy or had issues. And this last kid I had in my 40s where I should have had more issues, and they're doing great. You've got to spread this. Now, my sister and I have this awareness, but it's not something that people worry about or think about, because who's thinking about that? And then you take, on the other hand, someone like you, Adam, who you got and you had awareness and you know that your child is struggling, and yet you need to make sure you get the right support, because not everyone needs occupational therapy, which is what we do, and not everyone needs a behavioral therapist or a vision therapist. Some people do. Parents don't know, and it gets confusing. You know, you look at, we want to be objective, evidence-based information, make sure people understand how development goes, because we actually trust parents. We think that they know best. And as long as they know what the information is or what should be normal or what could be helped, then we can guide them correctly. And that's the goal.
I was going to add to that, that part of what our mission is not just to educate, is to validate what parents are feeling. And the more that they have and the more empowered they are, they are able to then get targeted treatment or targeted ideas in terms of what's going to help their child, and also to help them and their dynamics between their child. Because a lot of times, you know, you're struggling, you don't know where to go, and you're feeling something. You want to make sure that the whole family as a whole, that whole dynamic changes so that everyone's doing well in the family.
Yeah, absolutely love that. It is so important, and you're right. You know, I say this in business all the time, but it's really valid everywhere. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So I want to jump forward here to, you know, what was it like when you found out you had won Pay It Forward?
So I was thrilled. I mean, Bob Sager nominated me. So thank you, Bob, for that nomination. And I didn't really know what I was getting into, frankly. Like, I didn't know how amazing the program was. But once I experienced it, I feel like I really won the golden ticket here. My sister and I got so much information. And what was fascinating, and I appreciate so much, which is what you guys are doing, is you are really paying it forward. Every single person that we spoke to, every consultant, was so focused on what our needs were. And it was such an efficient, information overloaded. Like, I've taken notes on everything. There was just so much that was targeted. I've already started doing things, and it opened up my mind. So it was so exciting. And also we needed the help, because we were at a point where we knew what we were doing, but at the same time, we didn't know how to pivot. And here we got some real targeted advice. And now my sister and I have a plan that we're implementing. So it was really amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was also amazing. I'm so grateful for the opportunity for having been able to participate. And what was also amazing to me is that each consultant had their niche in terms of what they were able to help us with, but there was so much more that came out on other topics and other areas in which to look at, not just what they were talking about, but how individually, Amy and I can also work on ourselves and the way we work to make things more efficient, which was really, really something that we needed.
Because we're two powerhouses, you know.
Fantastic. Yeah. You know, it really is amazing, you know, when we started putting the team together, how many people were, you know, we had a lot of outreach, and as we were figuring out who for you guys, the Pay It Forward 5, as we call ourselves, was how we were trying to make sure that we had overlap, but not overlap. If it, you know,
I agree.
Yeah, just how can we complement and support each other in moving the needle forward for people? So.
And I thought it was interesting, like you said, if you would read your bios, you would think that, like that they're maybe in marketing or in branding or in consulting. And then when we speak to each of you, we can see you each have your niche, you have your strong point. At least on our end, on the receiving end, we actually got 5 completely different topics and strategies. And it was very, very, very focused.
Fantastic. So let's dive into that a little bit more. What were some of your experiences with the coaches?
Okay. So I'll start with Jennifer because I did that one actually alone. Evelyn wasn't able to participate then. What was so interesting about her is my sister and I are not marketers. And we really don't have a lot of experiencing even marketing at all. Like forget about digital marketing. We've always been through word of mouth for our practice and for our entire over 20 years of having it. So it was a new world for us to figure out how to support the foundation and to support our continuing education company in order to be able to support the foundation. And she gave us some tools that were so creative. She explained how we should possibly think about having ambassadors who are more experienced in getting the word out, connecting to parenting blogs. And we thought that was invaluable because it really put a twist where the obligation is not on us talking about what we're doing, but having others to promote that. And also with what you had advised, using volunteers, right. Such a simple idea. Like, there are so many parents that are committed to what we're doing and they may not have, who knows, maybe they have experience in doing a marketing call or helping us with social media, and to reach out to them. So we actually formulated a letter that we're going to be sending out to our clients in March once we're ready to go vote and support them to see who can volunteer and step out. So it just opened up our minds to different resources that were out there.
Yeah, I actually also appreciated the advice that you gave us, Adam, on SEO optimization and about how to get our content out to our targeted audience. Amy and I are very into academia, and we're always giving information and writing articles. And the content we think has value, but if you're not going to be able to reach the right market or the right audience, and how can you go about it? That was like fascinating for me in terms of shifting the perspective when you're writing something and giving information. I really, really appreciate that. It's shifted now. I mean, we've done some writing and content calendars, so it's changed the way that we are going to be doing things. I also really appreciated speaking to Lori. She was amazing in terms of teaching us about the value of having systems in place and also knowing about the people that work for you in terms of what are their skill sets, what are things that maybe they're not so strong, how you structure. Even among Amy and ourselves, what are our strengths and weaknesses in terms of what each of us to delegate, who's doing what, so we don't have that power struggle of I'm doing this, you're doing that, and which translates into our teams, the people that we work with, and perhaps some of our staff are amazing, but they're not doing the right jobs, and how to speak to them effectively. Things that we're doing every day, but if you can hone into improving on that, it creates and opens the door for everyone to be as productive and efficient as possible. So I really appreciated that as well.
And of course, Chuck and Bob, I mean, they are the supreme marketing, get your name out there. Okay, Chuck's session was just like, I mean, I could have listened to him for hours. He was just going on with so much information and really showing us how to use LinkedIn for us, which I would not have thought would be such a powerful market. But he explained on so many levels for parents, for donors. So that was invaluable. And Bob told us that it's a good thing that we didn't get started yet on making all the mistakes that we were planning on. We shared with him what we were planning on doing, and he quickly shifted our focus. No, don't do that. So it was something that, again, not having had this experience on how to kind of promote this information and get the word out, we really feel like we have groundwork that before we jump into things, think about things, and really have a plan to do it in a strategic way that's going to be successful. So all of them were just gold, honestly.
I also want to say it's not just about the information that they gave us and the strategies. I think every single consultant, even after our time together, sent us resources, followed up on ideas that after the conversation they thought of something. Bob sent us some information. It's really paying it forward. It's like there was giving that just not only helped us, but like I want to give back. I want to be able to help someone as well, to be able to, it facilitates this, I guess, cycle of just being able to help one another, which is
So
amazing.
What you five are doing is going forward naturally, even if you didn't ask, but it was a feeling that we had.
Yes.
And I hope that came through to everyone, because it's just been amazing. And like Evelyn said, we're still communicating, so it's great.
Fantastic. Let's talk about some of the application. You talked a little bit about it, but what are some of the big shifts and plans for this next year here, as you've been able to figure out and strategically look at what was discussed in your calls?
Okay, so first of all, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be taking your advice on really trying to recruit and seeing if there are volunteers who want to help us with getting the word out. The second thing, we clarify that what's most important is getting our messaging across regarding what it is that we're doing. People don't even recognize that OTs deal with anxiety or whatever it is. And the way to do it won't necessarily just be our blogs, which even though we're getting great traction to our website there, we don't even know how we're doing that. We need to be focused on getting the information in a very directed way. So again, outsourcing the way that we're going to be sharing our information. That's something that we're going to be focused on this year. And in our fundraising plan, it's going to be the goal to show, as we're doing this, where our outsourcing has been going to. So that way people can actually see, and when donors want to give, they're able to see that we're doing that work of giving the information. And I think what Evelyn mentioned regarding Lori is whoever's working on our team was fascinating to learn that we're going to actually switch some positions, and we're going to have different roles for people to be effective in their time to get our goals going. So that's definitely something that we're going to be doing as well.
And anyone who does come in, we're going to make sure that we are compatible by, you hire someone, you interview them. It's amazing that you can take these tests and you can see, what skill sets you have, what personality, what works for each person, so that we're actually hiring people that are appropriate for us and that we're matching people up on projects that are going to be most efficient. So that was an amazing thing for us to also have a concrete way of trying to get our staff organized and hired.
Because one of the biggest goals, honestly, is to implement the programming. That's the goal that we want. So if we're going to do that, and we have to do it effectively and efficiently, we want to make sure that the team is in the right spot. Because we can have the knowledge, but if we don't have everything going quickly, or someone setting up the website, or someone setting up the live events, God willing, one day after Corona, we're going to need those folks to be in place. So by using those strengths, we're able to push forward instead of taking so much time to get our goals accomplished.
I think that's something very important, because we always are thinking when we started this venture, like, okay, we have so much to do and we cannot do everything. You really think that you can handle ABC until Z, and you really can't. And just knowing that you have that plan and that strategy, and that we're going to have the support that we need so Amy and I can actually spread the word and do the parts that we're best as, that was very validating, I think, for us and gave us a lot of direction that, okay, hey, we can really get this started, and quickly. You can really, as long as we're ready to implement it properly, we can get the ball rolling as quickly as possible.
So I think there were 3 prongs, honestly. The marketing, there was the processes of setting it up, and then there was also the internal structure of what we're going to do to actually get it done and be efficient. And we got that nice organization of how to do it and what we should ignore. All the things that, when you try and do it on your own and you think you're figuring it out, no, don't do that. So there were a lot of no-nos, which was great to hear, not to waste the time. So you guys just jump-started us to be a little bit more effective, and we can't wait to show you like what we're doing and everything that's going to come out.
Absolutely fantastic. I love it. Where can people find you guys?
So we're all over. We have we are on Instagram very actively for parents. So you can find us there at at Hands-On Approaches on Instagram. And you can find our blogs and our podcast, Quiet the Noise, on our website, handsonotrehab.com and handsonaapproaches.com for therapists and parents who want to take courses. On LinkedIn, I've been a little bit more active. Evelyn is starting to get more active. And I am thrilled to announce that I just got LinkedIn Live approved last week. So our goal is to use it for the foundation purposes. And we're going to be doing Q&As. We're going to do topics and questions based on, we're going to divide it up in 2 ways to help parents for some of them. And also then we're going to have some series for therapists who want to be able to identify who to refer those children to if they're having issues. So it's one of our launching pads, and that's where they can find us.
Absolutely fantastic. Love it. I love what you guys are doing. So passionate about it. And it was absolutely a pleasure to work with you. Nothing but rave reviews from the team as well about working with you guys as well. So looking forward to what the future looks like.
Yeah, we can't wait to share with you.
So we are definitely excited to see how the future moves forward for you guys, and and know that you guys are fully engaged, even in what you do every day with the H.O.P.E Foundation, in paying it forward to the people that really need it. So much gratitude to both of you, and thank you so much for being on the Winning Tactics, and we will see all of you on our next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up yet another episode of the Winning Tactics podcast. You can find Adam on both the LinkedIn and Facebook platforms. And to support the show and ensure the success of the podcast, would you kindly consider visiting Patreon.com/Adam Sinkus? We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, from the Winning Tactics podcast, remember, culture is how your team behaves when no one is looking. Take good care, and thanks for listening.